I started studying how the beats are crafted before I started making beats, so I kind of had an idea of what my sound was going to be. I grew up listening to like Bollywood music until I was like 11 or 12. And then I got into hip hop. Like production and producers is when I started like really liking, like loving the genre. Shouts out to Aldo, one of my best friends. He kind of like introduced like Madlib and Dilla to me when we were in college. And yeah, we would just get stoned and shit and like just listen to music a lot. I watch a lot of TV and shit. Like, highly inspired by Flying Lotus too. So Flying Lotus is probably like easily like one of the greatest producers out there. He was always ahead of his time. He's still ahead of his time right now. His music is essentially going to be like forever ahead of its time. Just like his wonkiness, his swing. He has a very like dreamy texture to it, but he also has a very like cinematic sense to it. Kind of like part of like my sound when I'm making like very like spacious, spacey, ethereal sound. A lot of times, like, I just like finding the perfect loop. Most of the time, I'm just sampling that on my DAW or the SP, but it's just like finding that perfect loop or finding parts that like make a good loop and good phrase. Yeah, that's pretty much like what I'm like looking for when I'm like just sampling. That sometimes I'm looking for like dope instruments and dope instrumentation or just like stabs, but either a good loop or a good drum break is pretty much what inspires me. Like, I'll be programming drums and I don't like it unless I'm bopping my head and knocking my neck. Like, I don't use that drum pattern unless I'm doing that. A few things I do is, one is like manually, I just like have swing in my head when I'm like playing out hi-hats. And then another is just sidechaining compression. But I'm always like, I can't do like straightforward hi-hats when I'm finger drumming. I have to like have the swing to it. Mainly like me just like hammering out a drum pattern. Like, for example, yeah, so like I can't finger drum for shit, so I'd be like editing patterns and doing multiple takes, but it's like I can't do like straightforward drums at all. It's all on Ableton, so I can adjust the MIDI notes and stuff and do it to my taste. Yeah, and then on top of that, I'll like add like sounds like this. Like, I don't do it in like one take, but like you can kind of see the point I'm making. It's like, it'll just be like filler percussions in like ghost hits and stuff. And I recently released a tape in April called The Dream in Theater Part 3, Volume 1 and Volume 2, that released in 2021 and 2022. So yeah, I took like a 2.5 year away from just releasing beat tape. And so the last one was like some beats that I made in 2023 that I liked, some beats that I made in 2024 mainly that I liked. Probably one of my favorite things I've ever done. Yeah, I try to make it where it's like basically like you're in the theater and it's like you're just like having like, it's like a dreamy theater vibe. And I play this in almost every beat set I have, so. from the sample. This is all just one sample. So like the bass, the guitar, it's like part of the whole sample. And yeah, this sample really moved me. I didn't even like see who else sampled it until after I made this beat. And then I was like, oh, Ninth Wonder sampled it. I swear Rashad has a song on it. So, yeah, and this was kind of the same way. Like I recorded the sample, put it into a Serato sample, and then I played drums, or I made these drums, and then I put the chops over the drum. Yeah, and then I mixed it in a certain way where it gives like that warm feeling. So it's a Faith Evans like vocal sample. The other sample is like just a Rhodes sample that I got from like just listening to jazz and like obscure shit. It was an interesting thing because I was about to skip that sample because I was sometimes I'm like, oh, this sample's too like obvious, like so I'm gonna skip it. I don't know if I can't feel like I can do it in a unique blend. I would say that it's like you just hear the beat right away when the sample's there and you don't have to change much. I like that. I like it, but I also feel like if I'm like, that's my like a little battle I have in my head, and I feel like a lot of producers do, is that sometimes like the simplicity, it sometimes feels like cheating, and so you have to fight that feeling sometimes. I fought that feeling when I heard this sample and I made this beat. So because that sample is essentially a loop, it's just like those two chords or those 2 to 3, and then combined with the vocal samples, I feel like really makes that beat.
Is there like a beat that's in progress that you want to maybe play or maybe try to finish or?
Oh, actually, I'll tell you what, I'll do it. My name is Ani, aka Ani Beats, and I'm about to cook up a beat. Hopefully y'all fuck with it. Yeah, I usually start with the drums. Another plugin I really like is the Decapitator. It just makes, I usually use it on drums. I'll be playing samples too. Sample from vinyl sometimes, but I like YouTubing samples too. Yeah, sometimes I just like playing drums over the sample just to get a vibe of what kind of beat I'm gonna do. Sometimes sometimes the sample's just so good I don't want to flip it. I think I'm gonna use this one. Yeah, my name is Ani, and I just cooked up a fucking like swinging ass beat. I fuck with this hard.